Hello everyone, Phil here from PC Games Zen, and I'm joined by Jordan.
Hello.
And today we're talking through War Thunder's new Japanese tech tree. Jordan, you've been spending some time in the battlefields of War Thunder, and you've come back with some intelligence from the field to share with us for the war effort that we're putting together. So, yeah.
Really quite overwrought, wasn't that? really
You've been playing the game,
okay.
And you figured out some stuff about the Japanese tech tree. Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, so the Japanese tech tree is the latest tech tree they've added to the game. I think when it launched, they had Germany, Soviet Russia, USA. That's a pretty big country. And since then, they added the British tanks, I think, last year. And then a year later, they've got the Japanese tanks in, which is what we're at now. And in general, they're not that great, to be honest.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad we sent you into the battlefield to gather that vital intel.
It does take a long time to really work through most of them. I'm only at the brink of tier 4 right now.
Right.
And there's 5 tiers in total. It's taken a long time to get that far, and some actual real-world money. But, yeah, so the first tier of tanks won't do you very well at all. There's about one in there that's worth looking out for.
Okay, which one's that?
That would be the Ho-Ro, which is a hell of a name.
It is, isn't it?
It's maybe I'm not giving that the proper pronunciation.
Let's avoid trying to give it the proper pronunciation.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a tank destroyer, and its main armament is a 150mm cannon.
Okay.
And what that means is, unlike any other tank in tier 1 or tank destroyer, is you can actually take on tier 5 vehicles, so the best tanks in the game, and blow them up with like a single shell.
Okay.
Which is, it's really good. Obviously, it comes with some drawbacks. Your entire crew's exposed, very weak armor. It doesn't have a turret, so you can't traverse all the way around. You can only look in a few degrees left or right.
So it's a bit like Quake 3 Arena's railgun.
Use what you know, yeah. That's what they say.
That's what I'm clambering onto. So yeah, not the most maneuverable, not the best for defense, but it's just got that one-shot kill. It's the AWP.
Yeah. There we go. It's the AWP of War Thunder.
I'll just keep floundering around until I find something that works. It's the AWP. Yeah.
It is really good, and you see people if you're in the later tiers using it, even though there's obviously what you'd think would be better tanks, or certainly ones that take long to unlock. But yeah, that's actually probably the best overall.
Yeah, so probably one for people who really want to specialize in a particular impressive way of dismantling other tanks. What about the opposite end of the spectrum? What's the worst you've come across?
Well, the worst would be the Ka-Mi, which again, that might not be a great pronunciation.
Again, I thought impeccable.
Thank you.
I thought you were a native.
So the Ka-Mi is interesting.
It's the K-A-M-I.
Because it's an amphibious tank.
Well, that sounds very exciting.
Yeah, War Thunder have done amphibious tanks before, but this particular amphibious tank will just sink if you go in water.
That doesn't sound like an amphibious tank to me.
It's not great, is it? So the reason for this is that historically, for it to be an amphibious tank, it would have had flotation devices.
Sure.
Strapped to the front and back, and they'd be ditched when you hit the beach. But because they don't want those, because everything takes place on ground, there's no floating devices, so you just sink if you go in water.
So you're a tank rather than an amphibious tank.
Yeah,
that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So
you have a really bad gun. All your armor is barely sloped and quite thin, and if it's barely sloped, that sloping armor basically increases its effective thickness. So if it's at an angle, it almost doubles the actual depth of the armor.
Yeah.
So it's got terrible armor, tiny gun. It's got like the slowest turret traverse speed in the game. So if you're trying to spot a target on the horizon and track them the whole way, you just won't be able to keep up with them. It's basically useless.
So avoid the Ka-Mi.
Yeah.
K-A-M-I.
It does look quite cute though.
Well, that's
which is a hell of a thing to say about a tank, but it's like a giant cardboard box.
One of the cutest tanks you'll ever come across. Tell me a bit about the grind, because you mentioned that some real world money has been transacted.
Well, I've been trying to sort of race through it as quickly as possible.
Right.
It's a consistent thing with War Thunder anyway, and that's fine because it's a free to play game. You never have to pay money to do it.
Right, but in order to speed up the process a bit, grease the wheels.
Yeah. So in my quest, I've had to probably spend maybe £12 to get to tier 4, but It's gone quite a long way, actually.
In what sort of time frame?
I've put about 40 hours in.
Right, okay.
So yeah, it's a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. No idea how bad it will get, into the later tiers, but certainly most of the best tanks are actually in the first 2 or 3 tiers.
Okay.
So I think it's consistent throughout the other nations that anytime you sort of hit that tier 3, tier 4 mark, things do ramp up a little bit in terms of how much time you have to sink in.
And that is the Japanese tech tree in a nutshell. Thank you for risking your life and limb out on the battlefields. I'm going to make this work as a metaphor to bring us that intel, Jordan. And thank you for watching. If you want more like this and some that isn't like this as well, then hit the subscribe button below and remember to ring the bell. And while you're here, you might as well give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.